Hello, everyone. My name is Infernal Wolf, and welcome to the first devlog on my SCP Fan Game. In this devlog, I'll be talking about how I made the game's map. For those of you who don't know, the SCP Foundation is a collaborative writing project about a secretive foundation that secures, contains, and protects anomalous entities. These entities can be anything from an infinite IKEA to a hostile, immortal lizard. Anyone can read as well as add anomalies and stories to the SCP Wiki, and the anomalies are so diverse that there is a little bit of something for everybody. The best part of that about SCP, and what I love the most, is that there is technically no real canon, since anyone can add whatever they want to the website. So the readers get to decide what the canon is for themselves. The basic idea for the game is that the player was sent by the SCP Foundation to retrieve important data that was lost after a containment breach. They need to get into the server room to get that data, but the site's power is out, so the electric doors won't open. So now they need to go to the other side of the facility to turn the generator back on. Now they should be able to go into the server room. But wait, the door is locked behind a level 3 keycard. But to get the level 3 keycard, they're going to need to get the level 2 keycard to get into where the level 3 keycard is. But to get to where the level 2 keycard is, they're going to need a level 1 keycard. So after running around the whole map collecting these keycards, the player can finally go into the server room and get the data. Now they just need to make it out of the facility alive. The game is going to take place inside of an SCP site. The sites are like the Foundation's bases, where they contain and test on the SCPs. The most well-known of these sites is Site 19 for housing many of the more popular SCPs. There are many different sites, each with their own specialty. I decided to make my own site to limit my creative restrictions. To start off, I hopped into Blender to make pieces and textures that I can use to procedurally build the map, such as walls and doors. Using these pieces, I built a basic map for the game based on a concept I had made earlier. I may change the map in the future, but this works really well for now. After I finished building the core of the map, it was time to add interaction to what I had. I started with doors since they were probably the most basic thing to add interaction to. I had three types of doors in the game. A standard door, which can just be opened with a push, an electric door, which you needed a key card to get through, and a heavy door, which you use a lever to open. I started by adding interaction to the standard door, which was simple enough. All the player needed to do was click the left mouse button on the door, and it would swing open with an animation I made. The electric door was a little bit more complicated since I wanted there to be a little bit like I wanted the door to have a extra security measure. Originally, I had a keypad, which the player would punch in a key code by clicking on each key individually, until I remembered that the SCP canon has kind of normalized key cards, different levels of key cards, as a security feature. So I had to completely scrap the keypad idea, all the models and code I made for that just in the trash now, which is kind of annoying, but the keycards make more sense with an SCP game. So I popped back into Blender. I made a model for each keycard and a model for the keycard reader. The keycards were easy enough. They're just squares with beveled edges. The keycard reader was a little bit more complicated, but I think they both came out looking quite nicely. After throwing everything into Unity, all I needed to do was write some code so that the player could pick up the keycards and the keycard reader could detect the highest level of card the player had, and if it matched the card that it needs, it would open the door. And that was the electric door all done. After adding in the keycards, I started working on the generator room. This is where the player is going to need to go to turn the power back on so they can actually use the electric doors. I started by adding in a placeholder cube, which I will then replace with the actual model for the generator later, and writing some code so that the player could click on the cube and turn the power back on. Though I didn't want to make it too easy to just walk into the generator room and turn the power on by clicking the generator, so I locked the door on the outside. The only way to get into the generator room now is by using the game's first SCP edition, SCP-005. SCP-005 is a generic-looking key that has a special ability to open any lock. So I thought it'd be fitting to make the player need to locate the key to get into the generator room. Though it's not that simple to just find the SCP because it spawns in one of 4 random locations. So even if you've played the game before, it's probably going to be in a different spot the first 4 times you play it. Once the players do finally manage to find the SCP, all they need to do is use it on the door and it'll open. After adding the placeholder generator, I started work on making more models for the plethora of completely empty rooms I had. I made a set of models and textures specified for each room, like I made benches for the cafeteria, cubicles for the office, a server rack for the server room, and lab equipment for the laboratory. After making all the models and throwing them into Unity, all I had to do was place them down into their respective rooms. After spending a couple hours placing everything, the map was starting to look really good. After adding a few final touches to the map, all it really needed now were proper textures. Right now, all the textures were hand painted and smooth, which really doesn't look that good. So I went on the internet and started looking to see if I could find anything to help me with this. And I stumbled across a website called Ambient CG, which is really, really helpful for a solo dev like me. It's got a ton of free realistic textures, and I really recommend it to anyone who also does game dev by themselves. It's really helpful. All I need to do is download the textures from the website, throw them into Unity, make materials out of them, and now the map is looking amazing. It's not at its best right now. As you can probably tell, I'm not entirely done with texturing everything for now, but I think right now the textures are good as is, and I can finish it up in the future. Next, I'm going to work on actual gameplay, like weapon mechanics and adding in enemies and other SCPs. That's all I've got for now. Stay tuned for the next devlog. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.